Just last week, one of the pro members on Discord reached out with a really cool video idea, a scroll animation from an award-winning site. The website was featured as Site of the Day on Awards back in September last year. If you spend enough time scrolling through these kinds of websites, every now and then you come across a scroll animation that just feels different. That's exactly what happened when I started exploring this one. As you scroll down through one of the sections, the images shift horizontally in this smooth, wave-like motion, each one drifting at its own pace and direction, while they gradually reveal as they enter the viewport and mask back out as they leave. The whole thing just flows. I found it really fascinating because even though the motion looks natural and almost random, there is clearly some precise math driving it under the hood. So I spent some time studying the transforms as they changed on scroll and did a few experiments to reverse engineer this. After spending quite a few hours and with some help from Claude, I was able to build my own version of the same concept using GSAP and ScrollTrigger. In this video, I'll walk you through the entire build step by step, from generating the images dynamically to setting up the scroll-driven movement to dialing in the clip path reveal. Everything is configurable, so you can easily tweak the values and make it behave completely different. If you would like to access the source code for this project along with hundreds of other similar micro projects and a brand new website template every month, you can check out the pro membership via the link in the description. And if you find my work helpful, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Alright, let's get into the code. The markup for this is going to be really simple. I'll start by adding 3 sections, an intro, a spotlight, and an outro. The spotlight section is where our entire scroll animation will live. Next, just so the page doesn't feel completely empty, I'll add an h1 inside both the intro and outro sections with some placeholder text, and then inside the spotlight section, I will add a div with the class name Spotlight Images. This will serve as the container where all of our images will be placed. Now you might notice we haven't added any image elements yet. That's because we'll be generating them dynamically through JavaScript a bit later. So with that, let's move on to the styles. For the styles, I've already imported a Google font. This will give our headings a nice editorial feel. Then I've defined a couple of CSS variables on the root for our background and foreground colors and reset all default margins, paddings, and box sizing. Next, I've set the body background and text color using those variables and made sure all images are stretched to fill their containers with object fit cover. For the H1, I've applied our imported font with a fluid font size using clamp, tighten up the letter spacing, and center align the text. Then for all the sections, I'll set them to relative positioning, full width, full viewport height, some padding, and overflow hidden. The intro and outro sections just need to be flex containers centered both ways. That will keep our placeholder headings right in the middle of the screen. Now the spotlight section is a bit different. I'll override its height to 100% so it grows based on its content rather than being locked to the viewport height. Inside it, the spotlight images container will be a flex column aligned to the left. This is important because our JavaScript will handle all the horizontal positioning through translate. And finally, each spotlight image gets a clip path set to inset 0-20% on the left and right. So by default, every image starts partially masked from both sides. I've also added build change for transform and clip path to help the browser optimize those animations. Alright, that's our styling done. Let's jump into the JavaScript. First of all, I'll import GSAP, the ScrollTrigger plugin, and Lenis for smooth scrolling. Then I'll register ScrollTrigger with GSAP so we can use it throughout our code. Next, I'll paste in a block of code straight from the Lenis documentation to integrate it with GSAP. What this does basically is create a new Lenis instance, and every time the user scrolls, it tells ScrollTrigger to update. We also hook into GSAP sticker, so Lenis runs its animation frame in sync with GSAP's internal loop. And finally, we disable lag smoothing so nothing gets skipped during fast scrolls. Now before we go any further, let me explain the overall approach for how we are going to build this animation. The idea is that each image will have its own scroll trigger, and on every frame, we'll calculate a horizontal translate value using 3 layered sine waves. Each wave operates at a different frequency and speed, so when they combine, the images don't just slide left and right in a predictable way, they drift organically, each one following its own unique path. On top of that, we'll use a clip path that reveals images as they approach the center of the viewport and masks them back as they live. That's the core concept. Sine waves for movement, clip path for visibility. So with that in mind, I'll start by defining a config object that holds all of our wave parameters. We have 3 waves: base, flow, and detail. Each one has an amplitude, frequency, speed, and phase value. The base wave is slow and wide, giving the overall drift. The flow wave is faster and more prominent. This is actually the one doing most of the heavy lifting. And the detail wave is very subtle, just adding a bit of texture on top. I've also added clip max and clip power here, which control how much the images get masked at the edges and how sharply that masking falls off. Then I'll define a few constants. Total images is set to 12, image base height is 375 pixels, and aspect ratio is an array of simple ratios that will cycle through, so each image has a slightly different proportion. This keeps things visually interesting without needing to hardcode dimensions for every single image. And then I'll grab a reference to our Spotlight Images container using query selector. This is the div we set up in the HTML where all of our images will be injected. Now I'll dynamically generate all 12 images using a for loop. On each iteration, I'll create a div element and give it the class Spotlight Image. This is the wrapper for each individual image. For the aspect ratio, I'll pick one from our aspect ratios array using the current index with the modulus operator. So when the index is 0, it grabs 3 by 2. When it's 1, it grabs 4 by 3, and so on. Once we hit index 4, it wraps back around to 3 by 2 and the cycle continues. This means our 12 images rotate through 4 different proportions, so the layout doesn't feel uniform or repetitive. Next, I want the last few images in this stack to gradually get smaller. I'll calculate a shrink start index at 75% of the total, which gives us index 9. So images 0 through 8 stay at full height, but starting from image 9, I calculate a shrink factor that increases progressively. Image 9 shrinks a little, image 10 shrinks more, and image 11 shrinks the most, down to about 50% of the base height. This creates a nice tapered feel toward the bottom, like this stack is naturally trailing off. Then I'll create the actual image element, set its source to our numbered files, image 1 through image 12. Append it inside the wrapper and append the wrapper into the Spotlight Images container. By the end of the loop, all 12 images are on the page with their own unique aspect ratio and height. Once that's done, I'll use GSAP's toArray utility method to select all the Spotlight image elements and store them in a variable called image items. This converts them into a proper array that we can easily loop through later when setting up our scroll animation. The heights we set during the loop work fine on the initial load, but we also need to handle window resizing. So I'll create a function called update image sizes. Inside it, I'll calculate a size factor by dividing the viewport width by 750 and capping it to 1. So anything 750 pixels and above, the images stay at full size. Below that, they start scaling down proportionally. I'll then loop through each image and recalculate its height using this size factor along with the same shrink logic. So the last few images still taper down, but now everything also adapts to narrower screens. And I'll call this function right away, so the images are proportionally sized from the very start. Now I'll loop through each image using for each, which gives us the element itself and its index in the array. The first thing I'll do inside the loop is calculate a normalized index. This takes the current index and divides it by the total number of images minus 1, so it gives us a value between 0 and 1. This is important because we'll use this value to place each image at a different point along the sine wave, which is what makes them all move independently. Next, I'll create a scroll trigger for each individual image. The trigger is the image itself. The start is set to top bottom, meaning the animation begins as soon as the image's top edge enters the bottom of the viewport, and the end is bottom top, so it finishes when the image's bottom edge leaves the top. This gives us the full journey of each image through the viewport. Inside the onUpdate callback, we get a progress value that goes from 0 to 1 as the image travels through. And this is where all of our animation math will happen. First, I'll destructure our 3 wave configs, base, flow, and detail from config object. And I'll grab the current viewport width since we'll need it for all our calculations. Now here is the core of the whole animation. I'll calculate 3 separate sine wave values, one for each wave. The base wave uses sine function with the normalized index multiplied by the frequency plus the scroll progress multiplied by the speed plus the phase offset. This is the slow underlying drift that gives the overall movement. Notice I'm using 1 minus progress here, so this wave actually runs in the opposite direction to the scroll, which adds a nice counter motion. The flow wave is calculated similarly, but with higher frequency and speed values. This is the dominant wave that creates most of the visible movement. I'm also adding 0.5 to shift its range so it stays positive. And the detail wave is the same idea but with a very small amplitude. It's barely noticeable on its own, but it's at just enough texture to keep the motion from feeling too smooth or predictable. Now I'll combine everything to get the final horizontal position. First, I calculate the center point by taking the viewport width minus the image's actual width divided by 2. This centers the image horizontally. Then I subtract 10% of the viewport width to nudge everything slightly to the left. After that, I add each wave's contribution, the wave value multiplied by the viewport width and the wave's amplitude. So each wave pushes the image left or right by a different amount. And because every image has a different normalized index, they all end up at different positions along the wave. For the clip path, I calculate how far the image is from the center of its scroll journey. I take the progress, subtract 0.5, take the absolute value and multiply by 2. So this gives us 1 at the very start and end and 0 right in the middle. Then I raise it to the power of clip power and multiply by clip max to get the final clip amount. This means images are fully masked when they first enter and when they leave, but they gradually reveal as they approach the center of the viewport. Finally, I apply both values directly to the element. The translate property gets our calculated X position and the clip path gets an inset that clips equally from left and right using our clip amount. And that's it. On every single scroll frame, each image recalculates its position and clipping, creating that smooth organic wave motion. Last thing, I'll add a resize event listener on the window. When the browser is resized, I'll call our update image sizes function to recalculate all the image heights and then call ScrollTrigger's refresh function so it recalculates all the start and end positions based on the new layout. And with that, we are done. You can go ahead and play around with the wave values in the config object. Try bumping up the amplitude for a wider swing or increasing the frequency for more oscillations. Each combination gives you a completely different feel, and that's what makes the approach so flexible. Hope you found the video helpful. See you in the next one.